Welcome to the Dot Rising studio.
Hello, welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for the warm welcome.
It's our pleasure. So could you please tell me a bit about yourself, your role, and your company?
So my name is Paul Papadimitriou, and Greek name, hard name. It's actually also my name on Twitter, which is not very good for finding me. But anyway, it's very good for SEO though. I have my own company. It's a consultancy company based in Asia and here in London. And I work basically with big businesses about the impact of technology on their market.
Okay, fantastic. And what do you think is the most kind of important aspect of digital marketing for your consultancy company?
I mean, the way I look at it generational. So I look at generation. There's a big talk about millennials and the next gen, whichever that is, because after Gen X and Gen Y, and we don't know what. There's no more letters, right? So I'm looking at this angle, and these big companies. So I look at these two angles: how these companies can leverage this generation, what are the new behaviors and the new trends, new technologies they use. I believe there are new generations with new values enhanced by new technologies that creates a new identity. So this is how I help these companies to assess how can they talk to these type of customers.
Okay, fantastic. And yeah, so it's like the youth brands kind of thing.
In a way, yes, of course. And also look at the angle of innovation. So, you see how fast technology is going and how should businesses be adapting to these technologies, but not on the pure technological side, but more the behavior. What do we do with the technologies? And especially, of course, not only the youth marketing, because I also look at you and me, what do we do with technology, and how can these businesses transition from our usage of technology, which is changing every day, to a new usage of technology for the youth.
Okay, fantastic. And what kind of trends have you noticed within this year, and what kind of rising trends do you think will be coming?
Well, the biggest one is a move to, a lot of people say that privacy is dead. I don't believe that actually privacy is dead. It's very, of course, it's very cultural. Some countries have put more emphasis on privacy than others. Germany and Japan are too. It's true the US, where most technologies are actually born these days, have less emphasis on privacy that actually affects the way we behave. And so you see, especially when you see a lot of young people, for instance, deleting the status updates after a week or so on major networks like obviously Facebook, even Twitter or Instagram. But they're moving more and more to messaging applications. We can be considered as social networks like WhatsApp here in Europe. WhatsApp already shares 400 million pictures daily. Actually, Facebook daily shares are 350 million. So actually, there's more pictures being shared on WhatsApp already. Snapchat is another example, obviously. But in Asia, you can see the rise of Line, which is a very similar network than WhatsApp, and more social networks than WhatsApp is, or WeChat in China. And these are very, very big trends. You can see people looking to actually create groups and not being public anymore.
Yeah, fantastic.
Which is by the way, a very tough thing for brands.
Really difficult.
Yeah, because then how can brands actually touch upon? So these forces brands to think differently about their marketing. They cannot just just broadcast, whether it's ads or updates on Facebook anymore. They have to continue doing so, but they have to be smarter on how to touch these young generations. So they have to come back to some basics about customer journeys. When you decide to travel. Why would you travel to the Maldives instead of the Seychelles? So two good examples we can scroll today in London. So basically, the brands have to look at the very inception points of these customer journeys, how to touch people at a very early stage, and not only think about at the stage where they're already on a social network.
Okay, so it's all about kind of relevance and being there at the right time.
Yeah, relevance, utilitarian as well. So you can see that a lot of brands that are very successful nowadays actually offer utility as well. So they don't only offer like a cool message or a cool brand, but also some utility. So there's some. If you look at how the youth is actually perceiving the value of business, they want to have a sense of purpose. If you put a word cloud about what we consider being a business, the biggest word will be profit. And if you do the same, you ask the same questions to a younger generation. The purpose of business, what are the values, the inherent values behind the business are more important. So that's why we see trends like the sharing economy that's especially started in the US, meaning, for instance, that instead of owning a car, you actually will use a service like Lyft, Relay Ride, or even Uber that exists here in the UK to say, okay, I'm not going to own a car, I'm going to access the car experience. So the youth is more interested in accessing experiences than actually owning the experience. And this changes marketing a lot.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah. And what kind of advice would you offer a young person coming into this industry with all of this?
You mean as an employee, as someone would?
Yeah, as someone who wants to get involved in the industry, what kind of skills, or do you think they need to be flexible and always kind of staying on top of all the trends?
Well, I mean, also studies show that more and more youth actually look, again, with that purpose of business. So they're looking for. First of all, they're looking to work for a brand that has some purpose, and it's not only about the money. So that's on the business side, they have to think about that. But also, I believe that brands have to adapt. I mean, businesses have to adapt to these youth amount, the way the future work, the way people work. More and more people like to work remotely. They don't feel the obligation to need to be in an office. Although there's always a balancing act. Of course, you still need to pay the bills. So you still need to go to an office if an employer believes so. But I think, as a perspective of the youth. Of course, flexibility is the biggest point. I mean, there's a statistic that shows that by the age of 38, this generation will have had more than 36 jobs. I mean, if you look at our parents, they usually had 1 or 2 jobs at that stage, so it's changing. So the flexibility and the constant learning is something that has to be done. Obviously, the good thing is that I believe as well that the internet allows you to learn far more than just learning what you learn at university or college or high school. You have to keep learning all the time and adapt all the time. I've had like many jobs myself, and I'm not a young person anymore. I mean, I wish I could, but I'm not. But this, of course, flexibility. I mean, I know it's a very broad advice, but flexibility is one of the most important things. And to be always, don't stay behind. You know, I hear a lot of people say, "I'm not going to give my kids any iPad." I'm like, you know what? Just give them and let them try.
Myself fall behind.
Yeah, exactly. Don't stay behind. People are flexible. I think humans are resilient, and resilience is the most important asset that anyone can have today.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks so much for talking to us, Paul.
Thank you.
And how will viewers be able to contact you, your social media? So you're might have to spell out the Twitter handle.
I hope it will be on the YouTube somewhere here.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, Papadimitriou, so Papadimitriou. That's you just Google that name and you'll find me all over the place, where it's Facebook, Twitter, and elsewhere.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Paul.
Thank you.
I think the next big thing in digital marketing is the continuing rise of social media.